And he got in the car and he says, Mike, who are you working for now? I said, well, I own my own company with Scott. And he says, really, how many cars do you have? And I said, 3. I think 1 worked.
We had 2.5.
2.5, yeah. And he knew it. And so I take him to the Dorothy Quincy suite where the telethon was. And he goes in and he donates the check and comes back out to the car. And I take him back to Marblehead. And he says, Mike, he says, how would you like the Channel 5 account? He says, the company we use now, I don't even know who they are. Never got a Christmas card. How would you like the account? I said, Mr. Coppersmith, that would be a break of a lifetime for someone in our industry. This is the most popular car. That's an SUV. That holds 6 to 7 people. And that's pretty much replaced the stretch limousine. And years ago, when Bill Clinton got into an SUV down at Martha's Vineyard when he used to vacation down there, I said to Scott, I said, that's going to be the next limousine, is the SUV. And sure enough, we bought 3 or 4, and it turned out to be the next stretch limousine. And a lot of our clients use it. It's not so conspicuous, very inconspicuous, and very private. Larry did all the work for Joe Biden in his 1988 presidential campaign. Larry was the press secretary for that campaign. Larry introduced Scott and I to Joe Biden, and they needed somebody reliable and trustworthy to drive him for his presidential campaign. The Senate office was always calling Mike, make sure he eats, make sure he has something to eat, because the staff would just push him from one event to another. So I would always get him something to eat, make sure it was in the car, make sure he ate it, and make sure he'd take a nap.
Oh, yeah?
And one night, I wasn't feeling good, and I would go to McDonald's drive-up with him, and Scott was driving him for a couple of days, and he said, Scott, at the end of the campaign day, he said, Scott, I'm hungry, and I want a nice dinner.
So once in a while he'd say he wants spaghetti dinner, so I took him there.
So Scott took him to Vincenzo's in Chelmsford. While they were having dinner over there, he said to Scott, call Mike and get him over here. And I said, Scott, I don't want to go, I'm not feeling good. He said, Mike, he wants to see you, get over here. So I go over, he stands up from the table, and he says, Mike, he says, Scott knows how to treat me. He says, if I was with you tonight, we'd be at McDonald's drive-up. He says, Scott knows how to treat me. He brought me to this fine Italian restaurant where I could have a decent meal, and thank God I'm not with you tonight. Keene, we're in Keene.
Okay.
And he says to me, Mike, we're going to go to church this morning. I used to go to church with him in the morning, Sunday morning. And he said, Mike, he says, we'll walk over to church this morning. And I said, Senator, I don't think I can do that. I don't feel good. I went to the Mass General, and I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Joe went home, and he got the news, and he flew up the next day to see me, because they gave me a 90-day prognosis. And says, Mike, in 1988, I had an aneurysm, and I had the same prognosis as you. And they told me 90 days, and Jimmy, my brother, would go and get these CDs, and we would play them when the family would come over, and there were no tears. We would get through this with laughter. And Joe would call me every night, and Jill talked about him. And they'd say, Mike, we're thinking of you, we love you, and you're going to get through this. And he was on the list at the hospital. Whenever they did a procedure, he would be on the list to call to tell them how I made it through it. He said, Mike, if we win this thing and you get better, you and Scott are my personal guests at the inauguration.
Oh, wow.
Well, they won it, and I got better, and Scott and I were his personal guests at the inauguration. He couldn't have been more supportive. As busy as he is to this day, he couldn't be more supportive. Last Friday night he called me, and he said, Mike, I'm going to be in Boston campaigning for Markey. He said, I want you to meet me at the plane,
Mhm.
Air Force 2, in Logan, and spend the day with me and go campaigning. And Greg went with me, and we rode in the motorcade with him.